Welcome, my weird witches. You've found Raven's Lorecast, where folklore, fire, and a little fierce honesty all meet in the same cauldron. I'm Raven Lorekeeper, storyteller, witch, and your unapologetic guide through myth, magic, and all the places the world told you not to wander. This podcast exists because magic deserves to be honest, witchcraft deserves to be inclusive, and every one of us who grew up other deserves a place to finally exhale. So pour yourself something comforting, settle in, and remember, the world may not have been built for us, but the magic was. Take a breath with me, weird ones. Not the shallow, polite kind, the kind that reaches all the way down into your belly. In through your nose. Hold it just long enough to feel your ribs expand, and let it out slowly, like you're exhaling into a half-remembered dream. Good. Now do that again. But this time, let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let the world outside this moment loosen its grip on you. Because tonight, we are not rushing anywhere. Tonight, we begin a journey that will carry us through the rest of this year. Not in a straight line, not cleanly, and certainly not politely. This is the opening of a year-long series we're calling Dreams. And I want to be very clear about what that means before we go any further. This is not a dream interpretation series. This is not a list of symbols or a guidebook you skim for answers. This is not spirituality with the sharp edges filed down. This is a descent into the oldest form of human magic we know. Across 4 quarters, we are going to follow the thread of dreaming, from its ancient roots, through living shamanic and indigenous traditions, into modern occult and esoteric practice, and finally, into the psychology of the esoteric dream, where science and spirit stop pretending they're enemies and finally admit they've been circling the same truth all along. This quarter, tonight, we begin at the root. Before therapy, before neuroscience, before dream journals, lucid techniques, and tidy interpretations. We begin with oneiromancy, dream divination, as it was understood by the earliest civilizations who believed dreams did not come from us, but to us. Messages, warnings, instructions, visitations. But before we step into temples and tablets and mythic histories, before we speak the names of ancient cities and forgotten gods, I want you to notice something. You are already doing the thing we're here to talk about. You are listening. You are imagining. You are letting images rise without forcing them. Dream work doesn't begin when you fall asleep. It begins when you stop demanding that everything make sense. Take another breath with me, because this work doesn't start in books. It doesn't start in theories. It doesn't even start in belief. It starts in the body. Tonight, we go down. Not down as in sinking, down as in returning. Down past the thinking mind. Down past the performative self. Down past the version of you that has learned how to survive daylight. We go to the place where humans first learned that the world speaks back. Every creature on earth carries some version of this truth, that before language, before writing, before temples and laws and calendars, the world taught us through images, through symbols, through stories that arrived at night, through visions that did not ask permission before they changed us. Dreams were the first teachers, the first priests, the first psychologists, the first storytellers. They told us when to plant, when to flee, when to prepare for war, when a child was coming, when a death was near, when a god was displeased or attentive. And for a very long time, humanity listened. This year, we are not treating dreams as curiosities or curios. We are treating them as what they have always been, a living interface between the human soul and the unseen world, a place where the conscious and unconscious meet without hierarchy. Tonight is part one of that arc. Here, we will walk through the ancient cultures who believed dreams arrived from elsewhere, from gods, from ancestors, from spirits, from the land itself. In the next quarter, we will step into shamanic and indigenous dream traditions, where dreaming is communal, medicinal, and essential. Not entertainment, not analysis, but survival and guidance. In the third quarter, we will explore modern occult and esoteric dream practices, how mystics, witches, and magicians learned to enter the dream world intentionally, to travel it, to work within it, to listen with skill instead of fear. And in the final quarter, we will descend into the psychology of the esoteric dream, where trauma, symbolism, archetype, and spirit intertwine, and where healing begins to look a lot like remembering. But tonight is the root system. So settle in. Feel the weight of your body where it rests. Feel the temperature of the room. Feel the quiet hum of being alive right now. Now imagine, just for the span of an inhale, that you are very old, not in years, in knowing. Imagine that you remember the world when it was still half wild, when the line between waking and dreaming was thin enough to step across barefoot, when the night was not something to conquer, but something to enter, because that is the place we are moving toward tonight. Dreams did not begin in the brain. They began in the dark soil beneath our feet, in roots, in ancestors, in the shared human instinct to listen when the world whispered. They rose through us like sap. They spoke in symbols before we had words for them. We are not here yet to interpret them. We are here to remember why they mattered. So if you have a candle nearby, light it with me now. Small flame, soft glow, just enough to mark the threshold. And if you don't, imagine one. That works too. Take one more breath, and this time, imagine the veil thinning, not like a curtain being pulled aside, but like mist parting because it recognizes you. You are not intruding. You are returning. Tonight, we begin with the ancient roots of dreaming, the temples, the tablets, the myths carved into stone and bone, and the quieter stories carried in blood and breath. We remember the first dreamers. We honor the ones who listened, and we open the door to a year of learning how to listen again. So come with me, weird ones. down beneath the noise, beneath the certainty, beneath the daylight explanations, down where the veil is not a barrier, but a root system. Wit, wisdom, witchcraft. Let's begin. Dreams are older than language, older than gods, older than every spell you've ever whispered under your breath. Before humans tracked stars, we tracked the symbols behind our eyelids. Before we built temples, we built sleeping places. Before we prayed, we dreamed. Dreaming is the first kind of magic any human ever practiced. Involuntary, intuitive, universal. And if you strip the world down to its bones, dreams are the one thing every culture remembers. Tonight, we're going to walk through those roots. Not to decode dreams, that's next quarter. Not to force meaning onto them. The world loves doing that. We're here to remember a truth so old it still hums in your nervous system. Dreams were the first teachers, and they still are. So come closer, because what I'm about to tell you will change how you sleep. Let's start at the beginning, the real beginning. When our earliest ancestors slept under canopies of stars and smoke-stained cave ceilings, the line between real and dream wasn't two separate worlds. It was one continuous river. To dream was to travel, to visit the dead, to be warned, to be blessed, to receive instruction without a human intermediary. And if you've ever had a dream that left you waking up with that feeling, that wasn't random, that was a message. Congratulations, weirdling. You're having the same human experience your ancestors had before history was written down. Now, here's the part I want you to hold in your mouth like a stone. Dream authority is dangerous to empires. Because if the divine can speak to you directly at night, you become harder to control during the day. That's the political truth beneath the mystical one. Dreaming is a direct line, and the moment a system exists that wants to be your only line, dreams become a problem. Keep that in the back of your mind. We're coming back to it. Let's go to Egypt first, because Egypt didn't treat dreams like entertainment. Egypt treated dreams like infrastructure. The Egyptians lived inside a world where the seen and unseen were braided. The dead were present. The gods were active. Symbols were not metaphors. Symbols were how reality spoke. And so, dreaming wasn't your brain processing your day. Dreaming was a channel. You'll sometimes hear about dream incubation as if it's a cute Greek invention. Nope. Egypt was doing versions of this far earlier and in a way that makes perfect sense if you understand their worldview. The soul is layered, the world has multiple planes, and sleep loosens the latch between them. In Egyptian cosmology, you weren't just a body, you were a whole system. You were the physical body, plus the life force, plus the personality or self, plus the spirit, plus the name that must endure, plus the part of you that can move between worlds. So of course dreams mattered, because dreams were one of the places those parts met. And when you see ancient Egyptian imagery of symbols placed near the dead, yes, including dream-associated symbols and protective iconography, that wasn't superstition. That was technology. It was, we know consciousness travels, so we guard the roads it travels on. Now, were all dreams considered sacred? No. Some were seen as divine messages. Some were seen as warnings. Some were seen as spiritual weather. But the key is this: Egypt believed dreams could carry instruction, which means Egypt believed the human being was teachable by the unseen. That's huge. That's a worldview. Now we cross to Mesopotamia. Sumer, Akkad, Assyria, Babylonia, the cradle of written civilization. And yes, the cradle of dream interpretation as statecraft. Because here's the thing about Mesopotamia: they didn't treat dreams as personal journals. They treated dreams as public events. A king's dream wasn't just his dream. A king's dream was a national forecast. This is where we see some of the earliest surviving dream manuals, dream dictionaries, omen lists. And they are not fluffy little self-help guides. They are political. They're the kind of text that says, if you dream X, the gods are signaling Y. Dreams were stitched into leadership decisions, war omens, crop forecasts, legitimacy, anxiety about divine favor. And if you think I'm exaggerating, ask yourself why so many ancient stories from this region include dreams as plot-driving mechanisms, because that's how the culture understood reality. Dreams weren't internal. Dreams were interworld communication. And now we get to something important. In Mesopotamia, dreaming became professionalized. You didn't just have a dream. You had specialists whose job it was to interpret dreams in a culturally consistent way, especially for elites. Which means the moment dreaming becomes institutional, it also becomes controlled. Not erased, not dismissed, but managed. And managed access to the divine is always a power move. Now we step into the Greco-Roman world. And this is where dream practice gets both wildly mystical and startlingly procedural. Because Greece had something called incubation. And I need you to picture what that actually looked like. People traveled to healing sanctuaries associated with Asclepius, the god of medicine. These weren't just temples. They were healing complexes, spiritual hospitals. And the central technology was not surgery. It was sleep. They would bathe, fast, prepare with ritual purity practices, sometimes offer sacrifices or libations, and then sleep in a special chamber, often called the abutan. The goal wasn't rest. The goal was receive a dream that contains diagnosis and treatment. In this worldview, the dream could reveal what's wrong. The dream could prescribe what to do. The dream itself might be the healing. And if you're listening to me right now thinking, that sounds like guided visualization, yes. And also, it's older than your therapist's office by a few thousand years. Then Rome inherits and adapts this because Rome was very good at absorbing other people's magic, rebranding it, and calling it civic order. But here's what matters. In the Greco-Roman world, dreams weren't just omens. Dreams were medical data. Dreams were spiritual consultation. Dreams were messages that could alter the course of a life. And if you've ever woken up from a dream that felt like your body got a memo your mind didn't write, you're not broken, you're human. Now we need to talk about the Hebrew Bible, because this is where dreams become one of the most powerful narrative mechanisms in the Western religious imagination. And it matters for witches whether you've ever opened a Bible or not, because a lot of modern spiritual culture inherited its suspicion of direct revelation from here. But let's be clear, the Hebrew Bible contains a ton of dream material. Dreams are warnings, covenant confirmations, prophetic communications, symbolic transmissions that require interpretation. Think of the classics. Jacob dreaming of a ladder or bridge between realms. Joseph as a dreamer and interpreter. Pharaoh's dreams requiring a specialist. Dreams guiding kings, judges, prophets. Even if you don't vibe with the institutional theology that later grew out of these texts, you can't deny this. In these stories, dreams are treated as a legitimate channel of contact with the divine. And here's the pivot, the one that sets up a lot of later cultural conflict. In these traditions, dream authority is often validated when it aligns with sanctioned prophecy and condemned when it threatens sanctioned authority. In other words, dreams are allowed, but the right people must be in charge of them. And you can feel the tension, can't you? Because if God speaks directly to somebody in a dream, that person might stop listening to the priesthood. And priesthoods do not like competition. Now, if we only talk Egypt, Mesopotamia, Greece, Rome, the Bible, we accidentally do the thing Western scholarship always does. We pretend the Mediterranean is the only cradle of human meaning. It is not. So let's widen the circle. In ancient Chinese traditions, dreams could be ancestral contact, omens, moral instruction, spiritual travel. Dreams weren't dismissed as private nonsense. They could be meaningful in family, cosmological, and state contexts, depending on the era and tradition. In South Asian traditions, dreams often move through layers of meaning: karmic residue, spiritual instruction, symbolic teaching, encounters with deities or spirits. Dreaming becomes part of a broader ecosystem of consciousness practices, not separate from spirituality, but embedded inside it. And I'm going to say this with care because we honor specificity here. Across many indigenous peoples worldwide, dreaming has been understood as a place of teaching, a place of spirit contact, a place of guidance for the community, a place where the land and the ancestors speak. Not fantasy, not subconscious noise, relationship. Dreams as relationship with the unseen, with ancestors, with the living world. And the reason I'm naming that is simple. When you learn dream history, you start to see the pattern. Cultures close to land and ancestor relationship treat dreams as meaningful. Systems obsessed with control treat dreams as suspicious. That's not an accident. Okay, now we get to the turning point, the part that still makes my teeth grind. At a certain moment in history, and it happens differently in different places, Centralized institutions begin consolidating power. And when that consolidation happens, you start seeing a shift. Dreams go from a sacred channel to a problem. Why? Well, because a population that trusts its inner visions is a population that becomes harder to govern. Because if spirit whispers to you at night, you're less likely to accept a human empire's lies in the morning. So what happens? Dreams get downgraded, controlled, reframed, moralized, pathologized, or shoved into private where they can't shape the public world. And that severing, it wasn't just philosophical, it was strategic. Because if you can disconnect people from their inner oracle, you can sell them an external one. And I need you to feel the weight of that. Dreams are one of the oldest direct access spiritual technologies humans have ever had. So, of course, power structures tried to control them. And they never fully succeeded because dreams are built into the human nervous system. You can shame the language, you can police the interpretation, you can ridicule the messenger, but you cannot stop the dreaming. Now, fast forward. And this part always makes me laugh a little because modern research spent the last century trying to discover what the ancients already knew. Dreams matter. Modern language calls it memory consolidation, emotional processing, neural integration, threat simulation, creative problem solving, meaning making. And I'm not dismissing science. I'm saying science is finally catching up to what your ancestors felt in their bones. Because here's the wild part. Your body responds to dream imagery as if it's real. That means dreams aren't just stories. They're physiological events. So when you wake up from a nightmare with your heart racing, sweaty, shaking, that's not you being dramatic. That's your nervous system treating dream reality as reality. And when you wake from a dream that leaves you calmer, clearer, grief softened, healed, that's real too. So no, dreams are not meaningless brain static. Dreams are how the human system metabolizes reality, and sometimes how spirit slips messages through the cracks. Now we lay the groundwork for next quarter without stepping on it yet. Every dream has 3 layers, and if you remember nothing else from this segment, remember this. First, universal symbols, archetypes humans share. River, child, animal guide, storm, house, door. Second, cultural symbols, meanings shaped by your community. Weddings, funerals, taboos, sacred animals, collective fears. And third, personal symbols, the ones only your life can decode. Your grandmother's hands, the street you grew up on, that one room you always return to. A dream is never just one meaning. It's a braid. And that's why dream dictionaries alone are never enough. They can offer language, but they can't offer your lived map. Now, I'm going to say something that sounds like a flex, but it isn't. Witches don't dream differently because witches are special. Witches dream differently because witches pay attention. We remember. We record. We notice repetition. We learn the symbol language our psyche and spirit keep using. Dreams are one of the oldest forms of divination, older than cards, older than runes, older than polished tools. Dreams were the original oracle, and they still are, because the dream world is the one place the rational mind can't fully police. Which means it becomes the place truth shows up wearing a mask. And that mask is called a symbol. So here's where we land this part of the journey. Not with interpretation, with a question. Because the first act of dream magic isn't decoding, it's acknowledging. So ask yourself, what image keeps returning? What emotion keeps tugging at your sleeve? What scene repeats no matter how you try to ignore it? What version of you keeps appearing at the edge of sleep like a ghost that refuses to be forgotten? Because that's not random. That's the root. And the root of the dream is the root of your becoming. Tonight, we're not figuring it out. We're honoring the fact that the dream world is alive, layered, ancient, intelligent. And if you're listening to this episode, I already know something about you. You're ready to stop treating your dreams like static and start treating them like a language. Take a breath, my bright ones. Look up with me. Because the sky on February 22nd, 2026 is not whispering. It's gathering itself. We are standing beneath a waxing crescent moon, growing stronger each night, building toward form, not rushing toward action, but stabilizing what has already been imagined. And that moon is moving through Taurus, not fire, ground. This matters. Because while the sky right now is saturated with dreams, the cosmos is asking something very specific. What will hold them? We are still under a sun in Pisces, a season where the veil thins, intuition floods, and the unconscious speaks louder than logic. Water above, earth below. Dreams looking for somewhere safe to land. The waxing crescent is the phase of becoming, the moment after the new moon when intention begins to take shape. But in Taurus, this is not reckless growth. This is rooting. Taurus asks, what can be sustained? What deserves patience? What is worth tending slowly? This moon doesn't light a match. She sets the table. If your dreams have been vivid, if your sleep has been thick with feeling, if you've been waking with sensations instead of stories, that's Pisces feeding the imagination, and Taurus asking the body, can you carry this? Dreams are no longer abstract here. They want texture, weight, reality. Pisces season always feels like standing ankle deep in memory before dawn. Time bends. Boundaries soften. Symbols replace sentences. This is the realm of dreams, visions, ancestral echoes, and emotional truth. But Pisces alone can drift. That's why this waxing moon matters so much. Pisces shows you the dream. Taurus asks you to keep it alive. Not by interpreting it, not by explaining it, but by staying with it. Now here's where the fire actually enters. Neptune has just entered Aries. This is rare. This is significant. Neptune governs dreams, symbols, the collective unconscious. Aries governs identity, courage, and initiation. Neptune in Aries does not say, act now. It says, a vision of who you could be has entered the room. You may feel this as restlessness without clarity, identity questions surfacing in dreams, a sense that something wants to begin but isn't ready yet. This is the idea of ignition, not the flame. And the Taurus moon is there to say, good, now let's make sure it doesn't burn the house down. Mercury remains in Pisces, which means logic feels slippery. Language turns poetic. Dreams speak louder than plans. This is not a week for analysis. It is a week for listening. If you try to rationalize your dreams, they'll vanish. If you let them arrive, unexamined, unpolished, they'll stay. After sunset, the winter sky still holds Orion as the watcher, guardian, Taurus as the anchor and body, Gemini in its duality with symbols and dream logic, Sirius burning low like a signal fire. This is not a sky of endings. This is a sky of gestation. The cosmos is not asking you to decide yet. It is asking you to receive, to notice what repeats, what lingers, what your dreams keep circling, not to interpret them, to welcome them. Because before dreams become symbols, messages, or meanings, they must first be given a place to land. And that's why when we step into kitchen witchery, we don't analyze the dream. We anchor it through the hands, through the body, through the senses. Because becoming doesn't start with fire. It starts with ground that can hold it. Because in kitchen witchery, we step out of the history and into the practice. All right, weird ones. Tonight, we're doing dream work the old way, the way my Nana taught me, the way so many ancient cultures prepared themselves for the night journey. You feed the body so the spirit can wander safely. You ground the vessel so the soul can rise. Everyone expects tea for this kind of work. Lavender, honey, steam rising like a prayer. But for episode 13, for a waxing crescent dreaming night, for ancient oneiromancy calling your name, we go hardier, we go warmer, we go deeper. We make the dreamer's hearth casserole, a meal meant to anchor the body, steady the heart, and serve as a lighthouse for your spirit when it returns from the other world. Before we cook, we honor the ingredients because every one of them carries a dream teaching of its own. 2 cups cooked brown rice represents endurance, steady breath, ancient grounding. Brown rice is the we survive winter grain. It keeps you rooted when your dreams drift. 1 cup chopped artichoke hearts. These represent hidden truth, layered wisdom, the courage to peel back what you keep protected. Artichokes remind us that the softest parts of us are often guarded for a reason. 1/2 cup chopped sun-dried tomatoes. Preserved fire, devotion, the sun held close during long nights. A reminder that warmth endures even when light is scarce. 1/2 cup chopped Kalamata olives for protection, ancient memory, the blessing of Athena. Olives are one of the oldest offerings in human history. They guard the dreamer. 1½ cups eggplant, cubed, salted, and lightly pressed. This is permeability, dream absorption, the wisdom of the night body. Eggplant teaches the dreamer how to hold messages without resisting them, to receive without hardening. 2 cups of baby spinach. Renewal, resilience, spring energy rising under winter's skin. For the sauce, 1 14 to 15 ounce canned crushed tomatoes, 1 cup vegetable broth, a half cup diced bell peppers, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 teaspoon oregano, 1 teaspoon basil, salt and pepper to taste. This sauce is pure lunar alchemy. Fire is the pepper, water, the broth, earth, the tomatoes, and air, the herbs. Preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius. Light a single candle if you can, 1 flame to call your spirit home later. In a large bowl, layer the cooked brown rice. Feel its weight. Let it remind you you're here, in your body, in this moment. Add the artichokes, sun-dried tomatoes, olives, eggplant, and spinach. Now pause. Put your hands over the bowl and breathe 3 slow breaths. On each exhale, release something you don't want to take into the dream world tonight. Fear, worry, tightness, guilt, old nonsense. Let it drop. This is the clearing. The same way you clear a sacred space, you clear a sacred stomach. Warm a drizzle of olive oil in a saucepan. Add the diced bell peppers and saute until they soften. The sound is a little temple bell if you listen close. Stir in the crushed tomatoes and vegetable broth. Add your oregano, basil, salt, and pepper. Simmer for 5 to 7 minutes. Let everything come together. As you stir, whisper, "As I stir, stillness rises. As I season, wisdom settles." Let the sauce thicken slightly, not too much. We want it pourable, the way dreams spill across the veil. Pour the sauce over the casserole ingredients. Fold gently, like you're mixing stories, not vegetables. Taste a tiny bit if you want. This is the conversation. Spread everything into a baking dish. Smooth the top with the back of your spoon. Whisper the final line of the spell. "As this bakes, may my heart be steady and bright." Bake for 30 minutes or until the top looks kissed by the sun and the edges bubble gently. While it cooks, set your table. Place your dream journal beside it. Write 1 question for the dream world. Fold it and slip it under your plate. This waiting is the ritual. This is you entering the threshold. When the casserole is done, pull it out carefully. Let the steam rise and wash over your face. That is purification, ancient as fire. Scoop a portion into your bowl. Eat slowly. No rushing. No distractions if you can help it. With each bite, say silently or aloud, "I feed the vessel so my spirit may travel. I anchor my dreaming to wisdom and return with peace." Let the warmth move through your chest. Let your breath deepen. Let your body know it is safe to sleep deeply tonight. When you're done, touch your dream journal and speak the closing charm. "My dreams are my teachers. My sleep is my sanctuary. My return will bring remembering." Before you lie down tonight, take your dream journal, or a single page if that's all you have, and answer this 1 question honestly and without editing. What is still making noise in my mind right now? Don't analyze it. Don't fix it. Just list it. Worries, arguments you're replaying, things you said or didn't say, loose threads, old grief tapping on the glass. When you're done, place your hand over the page and say, I see you. You don't need to follow me into the dream. Fold the page and place it under your journal, under your pillow, or beside your bed. This is not repression. This is containment. Ancient dreamers understood this. The mind must be settled so the message doesn't have to shout. Then, and only then, lie down. Let the body rest. Let the mind quiet. Let the dream world speak in its own language. No screens, no noise, just you, your breath, and the waxing crescent waiting to open the gate. Take a slow breath with me, weirdlings. Let it travel all the way down, ribs, heart, belly. And then release it like you're exhaling the last remnants of daylight. You've wandered far tonight. We spoke of ancient dream temples, of kings who slept on sacred stone, of the Asclepian rites where entire cities once paused their noise just so a single dream could speak. We talked about the waxing crescent, and we built a meal to anchor your body while your spirit travels. Now you stand at the threshold, one foot in the waking world, one foot already drifting toward the dreamscape. Here's what I want you to remember as you cross. Dreams are not entertainment. They are communication. They are inheritance. They are a language your ancestors fully expected you to understand. And tonight, we've only begun at the roots. This episode is the foundation, the ancient soil where dreamwork was once woven into temples, kingship, medicine, and daily life. Over the coming quarters, we'll follow those roots forward into shamanic and indigenous dream traditions, into modern occult and esoteric systems, and finally into the psychology of dreaming itself, where science and spirit meet in the dark. This is not a one-night journey. It's a relationship we're building, one dream at a time. When you dream tonight, and you will, don't strain to interpret every symbol. Don't twist yourself into knots trying to solve anything. Dreams unfold in layers, like artichoke hearts or old stories whispered across centuries. Just receive. Just witness. Just let the moon show you what is already rising. And if something comes through that stings or startles or hangs in your chest the next morning, remember this: nothing in a dream arrives to harm you. It arrives to reveal you. Dreams bring what you already carry. They illuminate what you've tucked away. They give shape to the things your waking mind refuses to say out loud. Dreams are a relationship, not a result. So tonight, when you slip beneath your blankets, whisper a small permission. I am ready to remember what my soul already knows. Let that be your charm. Let that be your shield. Let that be your invitation to the deeper self waiting behind the veil. And whatever you meet there, old memory, new insight, strange symbols, familiar faces, unresolved truths, trust that you are coming home with something, a thread, a clue, a whisper, a seed. Write it in your journal when you wake, even if it feels silly, even if it feels like nonsense, even if it fades as you're scribbling it down. Every dream leaves a residue of meaning, and meaning compounds. You're building a relationship, not collecting data. So here's our closing mantra. Say it with me, in your breath, if not your voice. I walk through the veil with courage. I return with clarity. I honor what dreams reveal. Tonight, you are not meant to understand everything. You are meant to remember how to listen. The deeper teachings will come, quarter by quarter, layer by layer. As your dream sight strengthens and your inner language sharpens. And that's our circle tonight, weird ones. Thank you for walking this path with me, for trusting the dark, for welcoming the light that threads through it, and for saying yes to the work that happens when the world goes quiet. Wit, wisdom, witchcraft. See you next time, Dreamwalkers, and may your night be full of gentle truths. Thank you, my weird witches, for giving me a little of your time and your beautiful attention today. If this episode stirred something in you, a memory, a spark, a question, a fire, please share it. Spread the word. That's how our circle grows. You can find me on socials at Ravenslorecast on Facebook, Twitter, and Blue Sky, and at Ravens_lore_cast on Instagram and Threads. And if you've got a question, a story, a spellcraft request, or just the world's cutest familiar photo, email me at raven@ravenslorecast.com. I really do read them. Until next time, keep your fire tended, your humor wicked, and your heart brave and wide open. This is Raven Lorekeeper, signing off with love, grit, and a whisper of magic on your path.